Welcome to The Debate. Today, we are dissecting what might be the most elaborate, the most confusing, and, well, arguably brilliant vanishing act in the history of the modern music business. We're looking at the wreckage, or, if you ask me, the architecture of the departure of artist, entrepreneur, and self-proclaimed architect D.L.B., also known as Daniel Bates.
And honestly, calling it a departure feels like we're being incredibly generous to the man's ego. I mean, for someone who was contractually scheduled to vanish into the ether on December 31st, 2025, Daniel Bates has been everywhere in the first 3 weeks of January. The silence he promised has been deafeningly loud.
It certainly has. But that noise is the point. We're sitting here, January 22nd, and the industry is absolutely reeling. We have the Thank You for Listening archive, which, the fans are now calling purgatory, and it has ballooned into this massive, decentralized collection of 33 leaked tracks. We have this whole thank you for leaking phenomenon. It's chaotic, it's unprecedented, and it really forces us to ask a difficult question.
Right. And it brings us to the central tension of this whole thing. Is D.L.B's architecture of self-destruction, this act of building a massive empire only to dismantle his own presence within it, is that the ultimate act of artistic integrity and radical freedom? Or is this just a sophisticated, narcissistic exercise in total control that's just disguised as a disappearance?
I'm firmly in the camp that this is a revolutionary survival mechanism. I believe D.L.B is using what he calls deliberate fragmentation and this decentralized archive to protect his own humanity. He's proving that you can build an ecosystem, specifically the 11.6 model, that empowers artists through true freedom, even if it means the architect has to, burn down his own throne to save them.
And I respectfully think that is a very romantic reading of a calculated manipulation. I see D.L.B's so-called exit as a massive contradiction. I think we are looking at a control freak who is micromanaging his own legacy, curating his vulnerability, and using these leaks to maintain power over the very tension economy he claims to reject. He isn't leaving, he's ensuring he can never be forgotten.
I appreciate the skepticism, I really do. But to understand the exit, you have to understand the structure he built to facilitate it. You can't just look at the leaks, you have to look at the business model. We have to start with the concept of radical freedom, or freelance by design. This isn't just marketing fluff for 11.6 music. The man literally instituted a $0 contract.
Which, in the music industry it's unheard of. It sounds like a fable. Usually the contract is the leash.
Exactly. In a standard deal, the label fronts you money and they own your masters, your likeness, until you pay it back, which is often never. D.L.B just flipped the table. No locks, no leashes. He built an entire corporate structure, Visions to Ventures, Neon Vision Studios, where the core tenet is that an artist can leave at any moment. Loyalty is chosen. It's not enforced by legal threats or non-competes.
Sounds incredible on paper.
But it works in practice. Look at what's happening right now in January. He walked away. He essentially left the hard drives on the table. He allowed the fans to circulate these 33 tracks. That is the definition of a decentralized archive. He transferred ownership of the narrative to the people. He isn't trying to monetize purgatory. He's prioritizing the documentation of survival over a commercial product. That is integrity. He gave the music back to the culture.
See, I hear that, and I just don't buy the benevolence of that freedom. You call it an ecosystem. I call it the architect's paradox. He builds this empire specifically to leave it, yes, but that exit is a method of ensuring he is the eternal reference point. Think about it. By not officially releasing the music, by creating this will he or won't he atmosphere, he is manipulating the algorithm better than any major label could.
But it's a rejection of the algorithm. There is no marketing budget here. No billboards, no promo tour.
It's feeding the algorithm with mystery. Mystery is the most potent currency in 2026. And if we want to talk about how he treats artists in this so-called utopia, let's talk about the D.L.B gauntlet. We have multiple reports of him having 10 different singers record the same track, competing against each other without knowing it, only to find out who won when the song drops on a leak server. That doesn't sound like a cooperative ecosystem. That sounds like a ruthless perfectionist machine designed solely to serve his specific vision.
I think you're mistaking artistic rigor for cruelty. High standards aren't oppression. But let's dig into the core of this, because I think your issue with his methods stems from how you view his psychology. We have to talk about deliberate fragmentation.
Please, because to me, it looks like an identity crisis branded as high art.
It is a necessary psychological defense against trauma. If you read his memoir, The Many Lives of Daniel, this isn't a game. He grew up in Maybank, Texas. This is crucial context. He grew up in an environment that tried to erase him. Racism, police targeting, profound isolation. He didn't have the luxury of being one cohesive person. He had to split to survive.
So you're saying the personas they're distinct psychological entities, not just stage names?
Effectively, yes. He breaks it down in the archives. You have Daniel Bates, the ghost, who handles the boring logistics, the silence. He's the one who wants to disappear. Then you have D.L.B, the armor, who speaks the hard truth in the booth, the aggressive artist who isn't afraid of conflict. And then you have Dante East, the shield.
Right. Dante East is the fashion guy. The one seen in the VIP sections wearing the Palm Angels hoodies?
Exactly. Dante East allows him to navigate those high-pressure, superficial environments without his core self, the ghost, getting drained. It's not just branding, it's a survival strategy. It protects the sensitive part of him from all that noise.
That's a compelling narrative, I'll give you that. Makes for a great biopic, but I see it as corporate compartmentalization of a soul. I mean, characters like Dante East allow him to have his cake and eat it too. He gets to enjoy the luxury, the VIP service, but because it's Dante doing it, D.L.B gets to stand back and judge it all as fake. It's incredibly convenient. He sips champagne while writing songs about how much he hates the club.
But it's not about moral superiority. It's about function. Look at the track Narcotic Honest from the recent leaks. That song is the key. He says, I don't get high for fun, I get high to function. That is not a rock star flex. That is clinical, functional transparency. He is documenting the cost of his survival.
See, I hear that line, and then I hear the follow-up. I know it sounds sick, but that sick feels safe. To me, that is preemptive defense. He's admitting the ugliness specifically so that no one else can use it against him. He is weaponizing his own vulnerability. He's saying, I already told you I'm broken, so you can't criticize me. It's narcotic honest, sure, but it's also another shield. If he exposes his own wounds, you can't stab him there. That's control.
I disagree fundamentally. I think admitting that sick feels safe is a moment of profound bravery. He's dismantling the glorification of the tortured artist by showing the biological cost of the business. But okay, let's move to the actual exit itself, because the tracks My Funeral and Parking Lot Therapy are where this debate really heats up.
My Funeral is the smoking gun for my argument. If you want proof that this man is a narcissist who cannot let go, just listen to the lyrics. He demands his funeral go platinum. He is dictating the guest list from beyond the grave. If you ain't right when I was breathing, you do not exist.
He's setting boundaries. Even in death, boundaries are necessary.
He's stage managing his own ghost. He says, I ain't scared of the end. I'm scared of being boring. That is not a man finding peace. That is a man terrified of irrelevance. He wants the hearse doing donuts. He wants the subwoofers breaking down the casket. He isn't disappearing. He's ensuring that even in death, he is the loudest person in the room. That isn't an exit, it's a finale, a performance.
You are reading that too literally. My Funeral is a metaphor for his refusal to be a quiet failure. He is refusing to let the industry rewrite his story as a tragedy. But you're ignoring Parking Lot Therapy, which is the other side of that coin. You can't analyze one without the other.
The track where he sits in the car and argues with himself.
The track where he engages in triage. The parking lot is the transitional space between the armor of the studio and the ghost of his home. He says, I don't need church, I need silence. Just me and this wheel and my violence. That is not narcissism. That is a man desperately trying to find a neutral zone. He's protecting his peace. The instructions in My Funeral, the line about the shredded RSVP, that's about ensuring his narrative isn't co-opted by the fake love he critiques everywhere else.
Permanent ink is fine, but he's writing on other people's skin now. We have to talk about the artists he's left behind. You claim this ecosystem empowers them, but I look at the language used, sentinels, pillars. He burdens them with his mythology.
Burdens them? He empowers them with ownership. Look at the relationship with Tala Diwata. She is the cornerstone, the mirror. There's that incredible story about the song If You Let Me. D.L.B had a private draft of lyrics, a question he couldn't answer, a hole in the song. Tala found it on the drive, wrote the response, and finished the song without asking him.
A bold move. For most producers, that gets you fired.
Exactly. And what did he do? No, he kept it. He released it. He let her have the last word on his story. That demonstrates that he trusts the ecosystem to complete the thoughts he can't finish. He knows he is incomplete without them.
Happening right now. The rumors are flying about a Leonary mega album dropping. Leona J., The Foundation. You'll say he cleared the stage for them. But I ask, are they filling that stage with their own art, or are they just maintaining the shrine to D.L.B?
They are filling the vacuum he created. He stepped aside so they could step up.
But look at the track Our Prayer from the new leaks. It's a massive posse cut. They recite this chorus. Let this be our prayer. Peace ain't a promise. It's what we became. It sounds like a collaborative vow to the architect. They are pledging allegiance to the 11-6 ethos. They sound like disciples, not independent artists. It feels cultish.
They are pledging allegiance to themselves and each other. You have to remember the Bottle Girl gospel track and the Jasmine incident in Vegas. That is the context for that loyalty.
Remind the listeners, this was the bottle service girl.
Yes.
A high roller disrespected Jasmine, a bottle service girl at a club. She threw a tray at him. Security was about to throw her out, or worse. But the 11-6 ecosystem, D.L.B's people, circled the wagons. They said, we protect each other. That is what they are vowing to maintain in Our Prayer. He proved that the industry won't protect the vulnerable, so they built a fortress. That isn't a burden. That is a shield.
It's a fortress, I'll give you that. But a fortress keeps people in as much as it keeps people out. By calling these artists sentinels, Captain Pine, Captain Barawa, he is drafting them into a war that is ultimately his war. He's the one with the trauma from Mountebank. Why does Zong Sky and Merchant Lux have to be soldiers in Daniel Bates's revolution? Why can't they just be singers? Because the war against exploitation is everyone's war. He just provided the ammunition. He showed them that they don't have to just be singers who get chewed up and spit out. They can be owners.
Or he just provided the uniform.
I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on the nature of the uniform. But as we look at this 33-track map he's left behind, the conclusion remains open. The Thank You for Listening project is messy. Yes, it's sprawling. But it feels alive in a way that polished studio albums just don't anymore.
It is certainly alive. And I'll summarize my position this way. The music is undeniably raw. Narcotic Honest, My Funeral, these are powerful documents. But D.L.B remains a paradox. He's a man who claims to want silence, yet he left a loud, chaotic 33-track map, ensuring the conversation never stops. He says, thank you for listening, but I think purgatory is actually a demand to be heard forever. He hasn't left the building. He's just hiding in the walls, listening to us talk about him.
And I see it differently. I believe D.L.B successfully shifted the power dynamic from hard copy, physical control, contracts, to hard drive, digital, decentralized freedom. By admitting he broke some hearts too, by accepting the triage of the parking lot, and by walking away on December 31st, he achieved the no price on peace ethos. He proved that true power isn't holding on to the throne. It's the ability to walk away and let the art survive on its own.
Well, whether you see it as a map to freedom or a maze designed by a control freak, the archive is open. The Thank You for Leaking era is upon us.
It certainly is. Thank you for joining us on the debate. We encourage you to explore the Thank You for Listening leaks yourselves. Decide if the map leads you to freedom or just back to the architect.
Until next time.